At the June 9th Lansing City Council meeting, council faced a wall of red. Firefighters in their red shirts gave comments about broken promises made to retired members. This is due to a corrected oversight by the city that will cause these retirees to pay more for their health coverage going forward. Lansing's Juneteenth celebration committee was honored, and discussions over rental insurance ordinance changes were postponed due to clerical errors. Welcome to What Lansing Council, a podcast transforming Monday night's Lansing City Council meetings into an enthralling recap. I'm your host, Jill Dombrowski, and today my special guest is Grand Poobah Ryan Kost.
Thank you.
Sitting Council President and First Ward Representative. Thanks for being on the podcast, Ryan.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I'm excited, Jill.
So glad you could make it here today.
Yeah, sorry. We should just be honest and open from the beginning that I was late. Guilty as charged.
Ryan was late. It's okay. We'll let it slip this time.
Hey, you know what? I had you on my calendar just at the wrong time.
Okay. Well, you'll have to come back again for another episode.
It's not very neighborly of me, is it?
No, it is
Being
not.
just back to back almost as neighbors, one street over.
I should have picked you up on my way over.
No fooling. Where would I fit on your bike?
On the back of my bike.
We would have looked fantastic going down Michigan Avenue.
We would have really gotten some looks.
Yes, it would have been worth it.
I think so. Can you tell us how you would describe our fair city in your own words?
Gritty, diverse, and intriguing.
It's got that intrigue.
It is. There are a lot of things about Lansing that are vastly different, no matter where you're at. And I think there's a lot of, if people try, there's a lot of unique experiences that you wouldn't realize are out there in this city, but they're there. And you come across random historical things that are like, really, I didn't know this. I didn't know, for example, the extent of which schools were Malcolm X's. I continue to learn, like Pleasant Grove and Holmes. That was one of the schools he went to.
Yeah.
Or that McDonald's on North Larch was the first McDonald's in the state, I think.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, so there's really quirky, cool things about this city when you look in the underbelly. Yeah, it's just an incredible city with a lot to offer if you just go out and explore.
Definitely. Are there other things that are your favorite things about the city?
I think one of my absolute favorite things is the people. And that didn't just come from, running for office. That was, before I ran for office and I was out literally walking block to block, meeting people, picking up trash in the neighborhoods with a little cart and a trash bin. It's amazing how generous people are and how much surprise you put into kids' eyes when they see someone else caring about their neighborhood. The people in this city are good people. I think that we have our differences, right? But I think there's a lot of common ground that we can find. And I think that at the end of the day, everyone cares about the city. We may not always see the same path forward, but we do care about the city, and I appreciate that. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, one of the things I always hear, and I'm constantly working on, is speeding. I think everyone can agree that the way that driving has turned out has gotten really rough. And that's a multi-layered effort, right?
Yeah.
How we're trying to approach that. Because it's not just police. It's talking to your, someone flying through the city could be someone's family member. And really, that needs to be a conversation, too.
Yes. The onus is not all on the city to fix this issue. It is an individual issue as well. We're all making the decision to drive in a way that is unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
But the way that our city is designed does allow for that decision to be made and easily to be made.
Well, and that's one of the flaws of one of the designs here in Lansing is we had so many factory workers and, the state essentially built highways for exit out of the city from your Oldsmobile plant to the suburbs where they lived.
Yeah.
And realistically, what I would like to see is, and you've dealt with this the same way I have with the speeding on Saginaw, near our house on the east side.
Yeah.
4 lanes of the highway there. To see that 2-way. That would be,
yeah.
It's a state road, so the city doesn't have any say in it. but it would be great to see MDOT, switch that back to a two-way road. That would certainly slow traffic down.
Yes, for sure.
Because then you're not having 4 lanes of a very straight, long road
where it's easy to really pick up speed.
Correct, and you do it, and sometimes you accidentally do it, and you look down and you're doing, 48, and it's like, whoa, I better slow down a little bit.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it with the meeting. We are here at the June 9th meeting, no committee of the whole. A fact I did not learn until I was turned away at the door by security.
They didn't tell you?
So shame on me for not checking the calendar. When did that get canceled?
Last week.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, we didn't have a committee of the whole, and I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
We didn't have any referrals. We had nothing to go on the agenda.
Fine.
So
no chit-chat? No, just want to chit-chat amongst yourselves?
No, because you can't do that unless the cameras are on, and we didn't have anything to chit-chat about.
Fine. All right. We all got a free hour and a half.
I was there walking. You could have came and walked with me.
Okay. Next time we'll coordinate.
You have my number.
The regular meeting began at 7 p.m.
Yes.
And all members present. That's you, the president. We've got Jeremy Garza of the 2nd Ward, Adam Hussein of the 3rd Ward, Brian T. Jackson of the 4th Ward. Our current at-large members are Jeffrey Brown, Tamara Carter, Vice President, Trini Pellivanoglu, and Peter Spatafor. The mayor, Andy Shore, and the city attorney, Greg Venker, were also present at the meeting. Good thing.
Yes, it was a full house.
It was a full house. Brian P. Jackson, our deputy clerk, was standing in for Clerk Swope. I'm assuming because he partied too hard at the clerk conference last weekend and is still recovering. In the audience, I would guess perhaps 40 to 50 retired firefighters and their friends and family.
Yes. The State Journal had it at 100.
Oh, okay. What would you say? What's your estimate?
They filled half the room, and I think the capacity is 109, so I would say they filled a little more than half the room. I would probably say 70.
Okay.
60 or 70.
60 or 70.
Yeah. They came in in good numbers.
For sure.
Yeah.
It was great. For best dressed,
not me.
I'll give it to you, Hussein and Garza, for your matching polos. I love matching outfits. So there you go.
We did coordinate.
I thought so.
Yes. Yes. Well, by that I mean, I coordinated for those two because they don't have they are my fellow council members, but they also do not have a great sense of fashion.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for stepping in on their behalf.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for finally giving me the win.
Yay!
I can now die happy.
Put it on your resume.
Yeah. It's going to be in big bold letters at the top. Best dressed one time at council in 2025.
You got it. Councilmember Carter started off the meeting with a tribute and recognition of the Lansing Juneteenth Committee. This group has organized local Juneteenth celebrations for the past 32 years. They are the most senior group doing this work in Michigan. The state of Michigan formally recognized this holiday 21 years ago, commemorating the end of slavery in the United States in 1865. The mission of the Lansing Juneteenth Committee is to commemorate the ending of slavery in the United States by celebrating the joys of liberty, educating the community about our heritage, and by promoting positive cultural interactions. The committee representatives spoke very passionately about their planned activities this year, which include on June 14th, the 18th, and 21st, a baseball game, flag raising, parade, concerts, car show, and health fair. Have you been to Juneteenth celebrations in the past?
Yes. I went last year for a little bit of it, and then the year before I went to some of it. It truly is a wonderful event, and it takes me out of my own personal background to see, a lot of things that I'm not always aware of. I'm always learning, right?
Sure.
We're always learning about different cultures that we don't understand. Mm-hmm. In fact, one of the things about Juneteenth is, as it being Independence Day for many folks in this country, it was interesting that we had a ban on the use of fireworks, which was something. Fireworks is a contentious issue, and I understand that, but it's not going anywhere in this state. Mm-hmm. And so I couldn't see any good reason why, if we could shoot legally on the 4th of July, why Juneteenth would not be one of the dates that people can shoot. So this year, it'll be legal for people to be able to celebrate that Independence Day, Juneteenth, with fireworks as well, if they so choose.
Amazing.
Until 11:45.
That's great.
All those individuals that came up last night and spoke.
Yeah.
It gives me hope.
Yeah.
That we're still moving forward in the right direction.
Yeah. These people are here in our community. They're working hard. They're passionate about
They're very passionate.
this, and it's amazing to see all the work that they've done.
And I appreciate all of them for coming down, and they thoroughly told us about everything in the program, which is great.
We got all the details.
We sure
and
did.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
that's their time.
And I mean, honestly, the 1-minute event announcement certainly wouldn't have been enough time, right?
No. I guess if they each had come up and said their own, yeah. But anyways, very nice. Next, there were some comments by Councilmember Pelivonoglu. She said, thank you to all the council members and the mayor who came out to the Cristo Rey Fiesta, Lansing's premier Latino festival over Memorial Day weekend. She really appreciated your support for their community.
Yeah, actually, Kirsten Walters, who's running for at-large, him and I, on Saturday night from 7 to 11, served up the frozen margaritas.
Oh, my God.
My truck still smells like margaritas. We were machines. I mean, I don't think I've ever served that many frozen margaritas. At one point, we were so busy that it was just back to liquid Cayman Jacks because it couldn't freeze it fast enough.
Oh, my gosh.
It was
that sounds wonderful.
It was. And like I said, I probably should take my mats out of my truck and wash them because it still smells like margarita. I mean, we had margarita all over us. It's hard not to. I mean, it was intense, but I'm glad Kirsten was there because, he would either take an order and grab, or I would,
I could see you maybe chit-chatting a little bit more than Kirsten on the job there.
Yeah, I'm guilty. I'm guilty. Yeah.
But this is your opportunity to get out there and talk to folks.
It's really amazing. Okay, so my dad grew up on South Washington, and just about everybody knows him.
Okay.
And so I get those conversations, like my dad's old friends, but they never left the area. They're still here in Lansing. And then I have conversations with people that know me. And then I have conversations with people that I don't necessarily know, but they know me. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm a chatty Cathy.
Yes,
I have no problem dropping into a conversation. I mean, we popped in at your house. We were there for like 30 minutes before you guys are like, shouldn't you guys be moving on?
Maybe there's some other people you want to talk to. No, it's great. I think that's what makes you a good council member. You're very approachable and you're happy to engage with people. I feel like you listen to people. So I think that's a good asset in your line of work.
I appreciate it.
Definitely. So back to this meeting that we're talking about now. The few other council members had stuff to say. Councilmember Hussein said, as you mentioned earlier, he's been working with State Representative Sarah Anthony on a plan to reconfigure parts of the South Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, the site of recent drag racing that had resulted in tragic car crashes. He's working with Sarah Anthony to install pedestrian refuge islands, and he stated that there's no one fail-safe solution. This is one tool in addition to other things we're looking at: speed cameras, lowering the speed limit, adding more police presence to the area. So, good update on that issue?
Yes. Yes. And there's more to come on that.
Okay.
We're working. I will tell you that Adam has been working with Senator Anthony on solutions. And one of the advantages of having Senator Anthony as their state senator, she sits on the Senate Budget Committee.
Nice. Yeah.
And she knows it's a problem. She lives in the area. She knows it's a problem. And so we appreciate her help on the issue.
Good. Yeah, that's excellent to hear. Some collaboration at the state level. Council members Pelivonoglu, Hussein, Brown, yourself, and Garza all gave comments in support of the work the firefighters do and have done. You stood up and started a round of applause.
I did.
Good job.
I had a moment. I thought it was the right thing to do. I think there's been a lot of press coverage on this issue, right?
There has, yeah.
But I got a little emotional, and you couldn't see it. And I decided that was the right thing to do, and it wasn't it wasn't, it was just, I don't know, it was momentary, and not to throw anyone under the bus. I think it was just to appreciate for a moment that we had a room full of people that put their hand into chemicals and I mean, you heard it.
Yeah.
PFAS and all kinds of stuff. And I have family that's retired, that's in that retirement group.
Oh, wow.
Cousins,
Okay.
who I'm hearing from, like, I won't use the explicit language I got, but something along the lines of, what are you doing to my insurance?
Yeah. I'm going to say my understanding of this issue,
Sure.
and then you tell me where I'm getting this wrong. Okay.
Well, maybe you're not. Maybe you're getting it right.
We'll see.
Let's not be negative here.
It's going to be great. Maybe not. Yeah, I'm doing my best. I don't know. The contract under debate is for firefighters who retired between 2013 and 2021. This covers 105 retirees. The city should have been collecting some cost-sharing amounts from these members since 2013 when this contract was signed, but they didn't, and they didn't realize until now, when the city healthcare plan options have changed because Sparrow PHP insurance is going away, that this was like a disparity between what the contract was and what the practice has been. So this change, now that it's been noticed, it needs to be like happening, and that will take effect in July next month, and costs could go up for these retirees for their health insurance from between $500 to $900 a month. The mayor gave his comments on this situation, and it seems like he is trying to engage with this issue, and I know he's running for re-election, so he's, doing his best to look good in the eyes of everybody. And I think in his eyes, he is doing the best he can for this situation. So what he said, to paraphrase in my own words, we're in a tough situation because of the language of the contract. I cannot unilaterally change the language of this contract. It is a signed contract that both parties agreed to. I believe in collective bargaining. An agreement was reached between the city, under different management at the time, Mayor Bernero, and the firefighters union at the time. I don't know why the language is the way it is. It is different from most city contracts, and I have had other collective bargaining and legal experts take a look at this, and we're working to find a solution. But if we walk back on this contract, what's to stop us to walking back other contracts? 15 people were speaking in support of the retired firefighters, asking that their health coverage costs not be increased. Past fire captains, chiefs, union reps, fire marshals, firefighter educators, and their wives. They say, honor your promise for affordable health care. We were promised affordable health care in our retirement for all the work that we have done. We made decisions to forego raises in order to protect our retirement benefits. That is what is at stake for us now. We put ourselves in harm's way to protect the city. They gave a list of ailments, carcinogens they were exposed to, job injuries. We need this insurance coverage. It's not our fault that mistakes were made, and we shouldn't bear the burden of fixing it. You're reinterpreting the language of the contract. You have set a legal precedent for not making us pay this, and you're changing the status quo by now doing what is in the contract. And the decision you make now will impact recruiting in the future. The Second Ward Council hopeful, Eric Almquist, also stood up to offer his opinion and potential solution. He said, create a self-funded account to put money into to help these folks out. It's an easy solution, but it's not one that's typically done. It'll take some courage to do this. At-large council hopeful Aurelius Christian also signed up to give a comment, but he did not. So, what's going on? Is that right?
Well, let's unpack it, right?
Yeah.
The last point is correct, yes. Aurelius apparently signed up, and then I'm not sure where he went. That was strange. The next one on your list, there is a self-funded insurance retirement fund. It's got nearly $60 million in it.
Okay, great.
Further, I think that it is interesting that the mayor said that they can't go back and change a contract. And they've had legal folks look at this. Mm-hmm. Apparently no one read the WLNS article where MSU professor commented on the issue, who handles this field and says that because the city has continued to do it this way for so many years, they're likely going to be legally obligated to continue to do this. That was in their article last night. I'm not any law professor.
Yeah.
But the contract language says employees, not retirees.
Okay.
So when you retire, your pension is set at $1,000 or whatever the number is when you retire.
Okay.
You no longer get all the pay raises or any of those things. So when your pay froze, it was their understanding that the price they were given for their insurance, that was what the price would be, that they would have for the remainder of the time, these 105 individuals.
Yes.
And to back that up, one of the individuals who was a past president had called a week before they found this error to change their health care coverage. And the HR department said, okay, no problem. Let's look at what year you retired and find out how much the insurance will cost you. That was the understanding in the HR department. There are numerous employees on this contract, when they would call during open enrollment to change their health care, that HR would go back to the year they retired, find the plan and the price. And that would be their price. So that's the way that we have been doing it.
Okay.
To go back on that now, I think is a poor interpretation. And I'm not sure that it can stand up in court, and I think they know that. They've been offered a deal that was a rotten deal, and one of the stipulations of that deal is that they cannot claim that they give up any argument against their view of the contract, and they won't do it. I don't disagree with them on that. I think the interpretation is wrong. The language says employee. We're not talking about employees. We're talking about retirees. So it would be, for example, if we're going to apply this health insurance to them now, we're going to treat them as an employee. So then perhaps they're eligible for all of the wage increases that have happened since they retired as well.
Okay.
Because, I mean, if we're going to interpret the language that broad, then, that...
It opens you up for more interpretation.
And the argument that you're going to open this up and then all the other unions will jump on board to negotiate, well, they've got nothing over 1% of the cap on their insurance.
They're already fine.
They're fine.
Yeah.
And the union didn't come and open this up. The city did. I think it's morally wrong. I think that the language is misinterpreted by the city, and I'm going to continue to press the mayor to do the right thing. We're talking about money that does not make or break the city.
Okay.
It's already budgeted, right?
Okay, yeah.
We budgeted, put it in the budget this year, and it's less than, I think, $500,000. These men and women gave up their health. I mean, you heard folks.
Yeah.
They were in contact with PFAS, with all kinds of chemicals that we know cause cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, it was awful.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you saw it. I had to take my glasses off a couple times. It was hard to hear some of the health struggles these people are dealing with. And now we want to raise their health care coverage, $700 a month. For some people, that is, depending on when they retired and their best 3 years and the multiplier and all that stuff, I mean, that's 22% of their pension.
Yeah, that's...
It's not like, I'm sorry I'm fighting brain cancer, but I'll go find a job at Walmart. It is irresponsible, in my opinion. When you make a promise to our retirees, especially our frontline folks, you keep it. And so I'm hopeful that the administration will come around to saying, you know what, whether or not we agree or disagree, this is the 105 people. We're going to continue to do it the way we've been doing it, knowing that this will be a short-term problem, because guess what? Everyone is going to phase out into Medicare. So they will all reach 65. Yeah. So this will not be a forever problem. It hasn't been a problem. I think it's the right thing to do morally. I forgot to mention is Verge was blamed for some of that. It's my understanding from talking to the past presidents of the union yesterday that they've all talked to Verge. And that is not the understanding or the agreement that they had. And that was not the intent of that contract language.
Interesting.
Like I said, they had talked to Verge, and I've never talked to Verge. He...
Someday. Goals.
Well, he did some things that I think are not okay.
Yeah.
And it's pretty hard for me to be acceptable of sexual harassment in the workplace.
You've got some words for him.
Yeah, well, you don't use your point of power like that. You never do. No one.
Yeah.
It's not appropriate in the workplace. It's horrifying, and I would say that to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's not what we're here to talk about. That's a whole can of worms that I don't want to get into.
No worries.
I sometimes wish that Andy would be a little more aggressive like Verge was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe something in the middle.
Yeah.
I think that's some of my frustration with what's going on with this healthcare is, I work well with Andy. Okay. I spent a long time trying to build that relationship, but I also stand my ground when I need to.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And I'm going to stand my ground on this one. And I would say, with all of that said about this healthcare thing, I would say, Andy, do the right thing.
Yeah.
He knows what the right thing is to do.
Mm-hmm.
We both do. And I don't think he's an unreasonable man. I just wish, and that's where I said I wish he had a little more verge in him, and he would just say, just get this done.
Yeah.
And make it happen.
And it sounds like it's not going to bankrupt future generations to take care of this.
Yeah. Don't wiggle through it. Don't say, well, this could happen next, and the other unions could, you know what? Just do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Make it right.
And let's move on, because it's hurting his campaign.
Well, if he had the passion he had when 421 called and said they pulled his endorsement over the healthcare issue, if that passion would come out, not about the endorsement, but about the healthcare, then we wouldn't even be talking about this healthcare issue right now. It would have been taken care of, because I heard all about that phone conversation.
Oh, my God. Great. So next issue was about some introduced ordinance changes regarding rental insurance. There was some confusion over this issue, and
Yes.
It looks like an error was made. The wrong document was put into the meeting packet, so not everyone could see really what was being discussed.
I think the struggle, right, is Trini is trying to explain, and I apologize, I'm going to use first names here.
That's fine.
I'm an informal guy.
Yeah.
I hate being called president. I always correct people. It's just Ryan.
Okay.
It's just Ryan.
Got it.
Trini is trying to explain a bill that she didn't write, and it's very hard, right? When she wasn't in. I spent at least 2 years with the city attorney trying to find the right language.
Right.
And before me, it was council member Patricia Spitzley. I think council member Carol Wood, tried to work on this in years past too.
Okay.
And we finally got this wording together. So the big, beautiful, not bad for Lansing bill. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough to defend when, you didn't write it. So that's kind of why I jumped in, because I did help write it.
Yeah.
And I think there's some confusion.
Yeah.
So Brian Jackson had a lot of questions.
He did. Yes.
He's also a landlord, so I imagine he would have questions.
Okay. Got it.
But I think that the confusion is one of the things I heard is this is in addition to red tag fees. Like, you'll have to pay this all the time. No.
Okay.
No. The other question was, the money. How many thousands of dollars could this possibly be? What does this really mean?
Right.
This is not a rehoming mechanism.
Okay.
Okay? This is, you either get the insurance rider or have insurance coverage, or you're going to sign an agreement that says you understand the next section, which says if there's a life, safety, or health hazard within the rental, that you'll be on the hook to hotel the resident for those amount of days.
This is for emergency situations.
Correct. When there's sewage in your basement, when there's
a fire.
The American Red Cross
right.
typically steps in for something like that, but
right.
But serious, your furnace went out. The furnace went out, and the landlord won't fix it. People don't come forward with serious issues. I hear all the time, there's sewage backed up in my basement, it's a foot deep.
So this will give renters the ability
to come forward and say, hey, there's a serious problem here. And we'll be able to immediately hotel them. And then that also gives, it gives time for legal to take the landlord to court if need be.
Okay.
To make this right.
So this is like a tool for the city.
Well, it is a tool for people to come forward that are living in terrible conditions in some of these rentals where they've been told don't say anything. And it's also a tool to there is a box of people that don't fit into, if something goes wrong with that apartment, you're SOL, that the city doesn't have the money to hotel you because you don't meet the criteria on certain things. This says everyone.
Okay.
Now.
Okay.
But here's the other thing. If you're a good landlord, okay, and you've never had this issue, you have nothing to worry about. This will cost you no more.
Okay.
It simply will say that you understand if something catastrophic were to happen, that you would be on the hook. But if they're good landlords, they're already going to take care of their residents.
Okay.
That's not the concern. I think the concern is the 5 or 10% of people that are bad actors, that we all know are bad actors.
Yeah.
Where I get phone calls of where am I going to go? Where are we supposed to go to have this thing fixed?
Yeah.
I think this is a positive thing, and I think that this lets good landlords shine. I also think that there's other opportunities coming down the pipeline to correct some of the issues, to reward landlords that are doing a good job.
Great.
And I think one of that is in the fee structure. Other cities give good landlords more time if they pass the first inspection or some money back.
Okay.
I think that those are things that are doable.
Yeah, rewards.
And that we're looking on.
All right, that's
I agree.
Great. Yeah, yes. Okay, thank you for clearing up some of those issues. I feel like it's tough, like, how do we as just people in the city, like, know what is going on with some of these things? Because I feel like the whole story doesn't come out in the council meetings. Like, I can't just read through this document, this like legal ordinance document.
Yeah.
I
think what I would tell citizens, the work gets done in the committees.
Okay, yeah.
That is where you want to see what's going on. And one of the changes we made is our committees are all on YouTube.
Yeah.
Where you can hear the debate and you can hear the conversations around things. So I would encourage anyone to find the Lansing. It's not the City of Lansing's YouTube site. It's the Lansing City Council's YouTube site.
Oh, okay.
We post our own meetings. From that conference room.
Okay.
That is where the work is being done.
Okay. So I need some podcast minions to go to all of those meetings, and then we'll get the full story.
Just tell Mike to do it.
That's what he wants.
And he can do it right from the couch. He can just go to the meetings by logging on to YouTube.
Okay. All right. Great. Great. So that...
And in the second part, sorry.
No worries.
Nope, there's a little bit more to that.
Yes.
The second part is you can always call your council member, whoever that may be, and you can talk to them, and they're happy to explain any legislation moving forward.
Okay.
Or get you to a council member that wrote the legislation or is on the committee.
Yes. Okay. Great.
Happy to explain anything, though.
Great. Love to hear that. Happy to take
we
my
can
calls,
even do
are
a
we?
rope and 2 cans because we live close enough.
Let's
it
do
would
that.
work.
We should do that.
I'll put a zip line in. I have a taller house than yours.
Bragging much. Next issue.
You don't have to clean it.
So this rental issue will be also coming up at subsequent meetings.
Yes, it will be. And I think that we're going to make sure it's clear and clarified. It is. It was unfortunate the correct document wasn't in there.
Yeah.
Sounds like legal didn't put it in there in time.
Boo, legal.
I know. I know. But we can't totally boo them. They do a lot of good things too.
Thanks, legal.
There's some other, so boo, but thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's like a Sour Patch Kid, right? There's a lot of good things still coming down the pipeline. Was that a good one?
Yes, there's a lot of good things coming down the pipeline from legal. We're looking forward to all those. The legal Sour Patch Kid pipeline.
Yeah.
One board appointment was pulled. Somebody for the planning commission. What was that about?
He moved.
Oh, bye.
Yeah.
Good
He left Candyland.
Fine. Good luck out there. There were 3 other public comments not firefighter related, which I will tell you about now. One was an update from the City Rescue Mission. They're moving to Kalamazoo Street, and they're moving ahead of schedule. They're hoping to have some parts of this up and running by July, and when it's all said and done, they'll have a 400-person capacity at this new facility. This facility is for adults only, and they're separated into male and female spaces, but they are inclusive of LGBTQ community. They are all welcome.
It was interesting that he said that at the beginning. And so I would say if Mark is listening to this, if you're inclusive like that, change your bylaw language.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
I had to read it once. I'll never read it again publicly because it's disgusting. Anyone that's divorced, gay people like myself, transgender folks, I mean, the list goes on and on. Change those. You want to be inclusive? You want to brag about being inclusive? Okay. Change that language so your board members don't have to sign an agreement that says they agree with all those things.
Yeah. Great point.
That's all I have to say on that.
That's a great point. He did say at the end, and go red to the firefighters, and got some applause. And you said, stop it. Applause time is over.
No, that wasn't during Mark's thing.
Okay.
That was
I know. I'm trying to condense this.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. Sorry.
But you're right. You're right.
So
applause over. Ryan Kost
I know.
says no more applause. My applause only.
I didn't. You know what? Brian looked at me, the clerk, and he's like, "You gonna let him do that?"
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
gotta uphold the rules.
yes,
These are the
he's
rules.
right. He's right. And I get it. Everyone.
We all
I
want to
scanned
applause.
the room. I saw that everyone was pretty much in agreement with. I get it. Everyone was in agreement, but and I appreciate that they didn't take it personally. They understood, like, the time for applause is over.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, we have to do that whether we agree or disagree, because there might be a dissenting opinion, like just basically the mayor in that room. But
maybe the city attorney.
He apparently had no opinion because he did not stand up when we all stood up.
Oh,
So he is like a Supreme Court justice, right? At a State of the Union. They stay stone-faced and do not stand.
He's practicing for his next appointment.
Oh, I know he is. He's going to be, he's going to be on the Supreme Court one day, I'm sure. You know what? All the joking aside, as much as Greg frustrates me, he is good at not taking things personally, because we've had heated phone calls. And I think he really does care. He's the one that, we were sitting there an hour on the phone trying to figure out language for the red tag hoteling law. And I said, what about fee? And that worked.
Nice.
So he's willing to try new things.
That's great.
Maybe not like my cooking, but he's certainly still willing to try new things with the law. And that is exciting, because we have spent 40 years with the same legal opinions. And that's always been my argument. It's an opinion. Opinions change.
Yeah.
I mean, if we can have
interpretations.
Well, either for the good or for the negative. For example, we had Roe v. Wade for 50 years in this country. And then the majority all of a sudden decided, well, that's not kosher anymore, which is a whole different podcast yet again. Apparently, we've got a lot of podcasts we could do, but my point is that legal opinions change, whether it's good or bad.
Yes.
And so right now it's somewhat good because he's new blood. And that's not to dig on Jim Smirka. It's just, when you're around for ever, I think, since the beginning of city time.
You've got a certain way that you do things, and yeah.
And Jim was a nice enough.
One landlord was there saying, hey, I've got an unlicensed nightclub operating right next to my house and my rentals. Nobody can get any sleep. These parties are going on every weekend, all night. We've tried calling the cops. The cops say the owner of this is a big donor to the city and a friend of the governor, so they're not going to do anything. Why are these people above the law? The safety and peace of the neighborhood is at stake.
I would refer you to the mayor.
Oh,
I'm kidding. Kidding. So I'm aware of this, right? It's across from Arts. They've already ruined Arts Bar parking lot. They're doing spin outs in the parking lot. It's a problem. I don't know about the donor nonsense, but I can tell you that I did a ride along actually with our night police officer that works the east side, Officer Pulver, who, if you ever have the opportunity to meet him, because he actually gets out of his vehicle and interacts with the community.
Great. What, do you want to be on a podcast, do you think?
Probably not.
Okay.
Well, no, actually, he does the social media for LPD.
Oh, there we go. Get that
Great guy.
Okay.
Really nice guy. I got to do the ride along with him.
Okay.
And that was one of the first places he stopped to see if there were an issue.
Ooh.
And he passed there 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
So LPD is aware of it. And
All
they're
right.
trying to do things within the law. I get that things happen that are outside of the law, but you also can't have an officer there 24/7.
Sure.
We have 11 officers on duty at night for the whole city.
Oh, wow.
On a good night. It's not many officers to patrol the whole city.
Yeah.
And so it's tough, right, to always be there every second. And yes, it's a problem. And I'm going to be working with legal to see what, do they have a cabaret license? Do they have other things? Because it has become a big problem.
Okay.
The noise, the cars, the motorcycles. The neighborhood is Green Oaks, which is coincidentally the one where the individual came up and said no more liquor stores.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That neighborhood.
Same.
Yeah, same neighborhood.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. So, as you said, this other individual said, please don't give another liquor license to the Kalamazoo Ave and Pennsylvania Ave location. We have enough. My property value is going down because of all these liquor stores. Our kids can't get books at school, but we're getting more liquor licenses. This has to stop.
Yeah. Well, and, so the first thing I want listeners to understand is City Council can write a letter opposing the liquor license.
Which you have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's up to the Michigan Liquor Control Commission, who operates in mysterious ways. But I am hopeful that since they rejected 2 of them, they'll reject this one.
Yeah.
The fact is, she was right. They just opened a store on Michigan where the old Family Dollar was that simply says liquor on the sign.
And that was the meeting. At the end, a lot of the council members came down to speak with the firefighters directly. And Garza and the attorney had a discussion, multiple news folks there. So more stories to come, I think. And thank you so much, Ryan. I had a whole bunch of extra questions for you, but we've used up all our time. Say when your constituent meetings are.
Yeah. So my next constituent meeting will be at the Allen Neighborhood Center. 11 a.m. It's called the Power Hour. We get through city topics pretty quick. I give you as much information as I can. That is going to be on the 12th of July. So normally it's the first Saturday of the month, but because of 4th of July weekend, I'm going to move it to the next weekend and compete with Adam's meeting. Everybody wants to come to Ryan's meeting anyways, because I got jokes.
12th of July, everybody.
Yep, jokes and the good orange juice, not the Prairie Farms crap.
Get your tomatoes ready. They'll be nice and ripe.
Yeah.
On July 12th, so yeah, bring them.
Yeah, bring them. I can dodge if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a tomato. And if you grew up with my father, you know how to dodge a wrench because you're fixing a car and then he gets mad at you because of the thing. I'm kidding. My dad would never throw a wrench at me.
Maybe like a washer.
Yeah, well, the whatchamacallit. And everything's your fault now because you're just handing them the wrong tools. But really, it's the bolt that they can't get out.
Our next meeting will be 2 weeks, June 23rd. More Lansing City Council to come.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Great speaking with you. Thank you to the Public Media Center for letting us record here. And thanks all of you out there for listening. Good luck.
And good night.
And good night.